On Monday, May 20th, 2024, the world woke up to hear that the president of Iran, Ebrahim Raisi, was dead, killed in a plane crash, along with Iran's foreign minister and other officials. While people were getting sad and offering their condolences, one of the first statements made by the U.S. concerning the news was that the U.S. was not responsible for the helicopter crash that led to the deaths of Raisi and several others on board. Well, the Iranian administration has not even started pointing fingers at who is responsible, yet the U.S. is already denying a non-existent accusation. That in itself is kind of suspicious. After all, it's widely known that Iran and the United States have been adversaries for years, with the U.S. saying that Ebrahim Raisi has brutally repressed the Iranian people for 4 decades. So, who is Ebrahim Raisi, and why was he feared by the West? Let's find out. Ebrahim Raisi was born in the city of Mashhad and is said to be a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad through the line of Hussein ibn Ali. From the time he was born, Raisi's path was already set, given that he was born and raised in an Islamic religious family and society. As a result, Raisi found himself immersed in the world of Islamic studies at the age of 15. In 1975, Raisi went on to deepen his knowledge at the prestigious Qom Seminary, where he learned under revered Muslim scholars. This period laid Raisi's foundation as a prominent cleric and forged his commitment to Islamic principles, as well as his distrust of Western influences. Raisi's father, Sayyid Haji, was a respected Islamic cleric who instilled in him the values of unwavering faith and devotion to the Islamic Republic, so it's not surprising that Raisi followed after his father to become an Islamic cleric. Sadly, his father died when he was just 5 years old. In Raisi's early 20s, he was appointed prosecutor in successive cities until he went to the capital, Tehran, to work as a deputy prosecutor. And in 1983, he went on to marry Jamile Alamul-Hoda, the daughter of Mashhad's Friday prayer Imam Ahmad Alamul-Hoda. This union solidified his connection to the religious elites in Iran, provided a gateway to the inner circles of Iran's ruling establishment, and granted him access to the corridors of power that would propel his rise to the top. As a prosecutor in several cities, Raisi gained a reputation for his unwavering commitment to upholding the law, or at least his interpretation of it. However, it was his appointment as deputy prosecutor in Tehran that pushed him into the spotlight. After 3 years as deputy prosecutor, Raisi was brought to the attention of Ruhollah Khomeini in early 1988 and received special provisions from him to address legal issues in some provinces. During this year, the government of Iran, under the orders of the supreme leader, decided to execute some Iranian political prisoners, the majority of whom were supporters of the People's Mujahideen of Iran. As deputy prosecutor of Tehran, Raisi was part of the committee that oversaw the executions, which took 5 months, beginning in July 1988. This past made him unpopular among the Iranian opposition and resulted in the United States imposing sanctions on him. To this day, the events of 1988 remain a subject of intense debate and scrutiny. While Raisi's supporters defend his actions as a measure to maintain order and security, his critics say that they're simply an example of the regime's disregard for human rights and due process. But what does Raisi think? Raisi's involvement in the executions didn't gain much publicity until 2016, when Hussein Ali Montazeri released an audio recording of an August 1988 meeting of the Tehran Death Committee. During a 2018 lecture, it would interest you to know that Raisi did not deny his involvement. In fact, according to the human rights organization Amnesty International, during the lecture, Raisi regarded the killings as one of the proud achievements of the system. And, for his role in the 1988 Tehran executions, Raisi earned the reputation of being a hanging judge and was nicknamed the Butcher of Tehran. Despite the controversy of his past, Raisi continued to rise through the ranks under the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, and went on to become chairman of the Astan Quds Razavi, the biggest religious endowment in Mashhad, on March 7, 2016, which cemented his status in Iran's establishment. So how did Raisi become president of Iran? Raisi first ran for president in 2017 against Hassan Rouhani, who was running for re-election. At the time, Rouhani had overseen the negotiation of Iran's 2015 nuclear deal with world powers, which restricted its nuclear program in return for sanctions relief. Raisi, however, was a critic of the 2015 deal, known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Unfortunately, Raisi was defeated by Rouhani, who was seen as a political moderate within Iran's political system. However, Raisi refused to give up and spent the next 4 years consolidating his support base and rallying those who shared his hardline ideologies and his distrust of Western influences. His hard work and determination paid off, and in June 2021, Raisi won 62% of the vote, although the election was marred by a low turnout and allegations of suppression of moderate voices. As president of Iran, Raisi criticized the 2015 deal negotiated by his predecessor and vowed to chart a new course that would prioritize Iran's sovereignty and defiance in the face of Western pressure. However, on the domestic front, Raisi went on to tighten the reins of his rule on domestic dissent and opposition. Under his rule, crackdowns on civil liberties and dispensing voices became frequent, leading to widespread protests and unrest in the country. As Raisi tried to navigate the conflicts and tensions in Iran, his policies of unwavering support for Iran's military and defense put him on a collision course with Western powers who viewed his actions as a threat to regional stability. One of his most significant confrontations was during the Israeli-Palestinian War. Raisi was among the few defenders of Palestinian rights, condemning Israel's action and vowing to support the axis of resistance against what he deemed as Western aggression. Raisi has always been known for his fiery speech filled with convictions. So, it was not a surprise that during his defense of Palestine, he gave another fiery speech, which came during the height of the standoff between Israel and Palestine. With a voice laced with defiance, Raisi declared that the oppressed people of Palestine have been robbed of their homeland, their dignity, and their rights. In his own words, "We stand resolute in our support for their cause, and we will not rest until justice is served. The Zionist regime and its Western enablers will find no quarter in their quest for dominance. We are the guardians of truth and righteousness." What an outstanding speech. Raisi's words ignited a firestorm of reactions, both from those who saw him as a champion and those who saw him as a threat to regional stability. But that was not all. In 2023, Raisi was invited to the United General Assembly, where he took to the podium to directly confront the international community. During his speech, which lasted for nearly an hour, Raisi lambasted the West for what he deemed as decades of interference and aggression against Iran. He condemned the economic sanctions imposed on his country, calling them a tyrannical attempt to subjugate the Iranian people and cause untold hardship. He also thrashed the issue of Palestinians, declaring the Zionist regime an illegitimate entity built upon the blood and suffering of the Palestinian people. In his own words, "We will never recognize its existence, nor will we rest until the last inch of occupied land is liberated." Raisi's speech drew condemnation from the West and Israel. However, Raisi did not stop with just speeches. He embarked on a worldwide tour, rallying support and solidifying alliances with countries, especially in the global South, that shared his anti-Western beliefs. From Russia to China and Venezuela to Syria, Raisi forged bonds with leaders who viewed the West as a threat to their sovereignty and leadership. It's no surprise, therefore, that he decided to join the BRICS Alliance, an organization dedicated to changing the current economic and financial order of the world, which is dominated and controlled by the West. Unfortunately, Raisi's life was tragically cut short on May 20th. However, even though the Iranian administration has not accused the West of sabotage, there have been speculations by some that the US was technically responsible for Raisi's death. So, what does this mean exactly? Since 1979, Iran has been sanctioned for almost 200 times. These sanctions imposed by the United States together with the European Union and the UK have been against Iran's government entities, their treasury, financiers, banking institutions, technical facilities and their facilitators, and transportation companies, for lame excuses. Some of the US sanctions on Iran could be defended as forcing the mullah's regime to observe human rights, as the one recently imposed after Mahsa Zina Amini's death. But most of those 99 most recent sanctions were declared on flimsy arguments and excuses that are weak and difficult to believe. In fact, these sanctions actually serve to punish the innocent Iranian people. By prohibiting transactions concerning the Iranian oil resources, the U.S. denied the Iranian people the option to buy and sell merchandise, contract services, and retrieve necessary spare parts for not only the president's, but health and human services, including helicopters too. According to the reports, the Bell 412 helicopter that crashed near Varzakhan, Iran, while traveling from the Khoda Afarin Dam to Tabriz, killing Raisi, Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian, other officials, and 3 crew members, had not been serviced for the last 30 years. It was a 4-blade utility helicopter manufactured by Bell Helicopter in 1994 and was flying in bad weather conditions and heavy fog. Reports also revealed that Raisi's crash is the 6th fatal helicopter accident this month. All these things happened because of the sanctions imposed for lame reasons. Therefore, it's safe to say that the blood of Raisi, Amir Abdollahian, other officials, and the 3 crew members is in the hands of the U.S. presidents and secretaries of state and treasury who signed those sanctions documents. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.